Hey guys, Smith here with Minute Maintenance. I know what you're thinking. What's all this snow doing in the background? Isn't it 3 weeks past the first day of spring? Well, apparently nobody told Iowa yet. And along with the snow, you get the cold, and also you get your truck not starting. So let's go ahead and pop the hood and figure out why this 2013 F-150 didn't want to let me take my kids to school this morning. Stick with me. Got to get some maintenance done. All right, guys, what we have in front of us is a 2013 Ford F-150 Lariat FTX by Tuscany. It's got the 6.2 liter V8 Raptor powertrain and engine inside this particular pickup truck. Now, when I woke up this morning, I was surprised to see all this snow outside. Again, we're 3 weeks past spring. I don't understand. I should be able to wear tank tops and my jorts by now, but unfortunately, I'm still rocking these jeans. And I woke up to see all this snow, and if that wasn't enough of an issue for me, when I went to start my truck to get it warmed up so it's nice and good to go, and the windows are all defrosted for the kids in the morning, she wasn't wanting to work. And my first sign of trouble is when I pulled out my key fob, and I'm standing in my kitchen window drinking my coffee. I heard that good sound that locked and beep, but when I went to try to start it, nothing. She didn't want to go. That seemed a little odd to me. I thought maybe something's wrong with my key fob. Maybe my key fob battery's going bad. So when we came down, kids are ready to go. They had their Pop-Tarts. They're ready to go to school. They're excited to learn. We hop inside the truck here. Radio turns on. Hey, I got power. Everything's good to go. But then, nothing. What the heck? So, first thing to do to figure out why this truck isn't starting, to figure out whether it's a battery issue or a starter related issue, because again, I got power, my radio's working, all my lights are turning, all of my gauges are working, so I clearly have power, right guys? Why doesn't it want to start? It's got to be a starter issue at this point in time. Maybe it's a fuel pump, I don't know. Let's go ahead and pop the hood and get this figured out. And there she is. 6.2 liter V8. Now we come over here. First thing you want to check, guys, when your vehicle is not starting is you want to check your battery. Cold is very hard on batteries, and also depending how old your battery is. This battery, I know for a fact, is about 6 years old, so she's on the way out anyway, so it's very possible that's what my issue is. But one of the first things you want to do, check your battery, make sure everything is nice and securely connected. You can't wiggle that around, it's loose. Come over here, check the positive terminal, wiggle that around. Is that one loose? Look for any corrosion. You guys know what I'm talking about, that white powder, that greenish colored powder, teal, that gets built up around here. That's actually battery acid, guys, and if enough of that builds up, it can actually prevent electricity from actually flowing through the terminals, which is what these guys are called, properly. Okay, but as you see, mine are clean because I went ahead and I cleaned those up a long time ago. So the only tool you really need to figure out if your battery's functioning or not is a handy dandy multimeter. Ohms readers, what these things are called, because they test voltage, they test resistance, they test all sorts of electrical related issues. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook up our multimeter and we're going to test this battery. Now, every vehicle, I can't say every vehicle, the vast majority of vehicles need 12 volts of electricity for standby power in your battery. That's how you know your battery is good. So let's go ahead and set this multimeter up in a way where you guys can see it and get our leads hooked up. All right, guys, so you can see this here. I got my red, which is positive, lead connected into the red part on the multimeter, and I have the little metal probe just wedged in to the terminal there. Now I'm gonna take my negative one and I'm gonna touch it to the negative side, and I should see a reading here on my battery, and I want to see over 12 volts. But as you guys can clearly see, she is nowhere near 12 volts. So 9 volts, that's plenty to start to get the radio going. That's plenty to get the gauges going. That's plenty to honk the horn and make your lights work. So that's how we know that it's a battery issue, not a starter issue, or it's not getting a fuel supply related issue. It's a battery issue. I hear a lot of people complain in life. I've seen a lot of comments on other people's videos of saying, hey, I know I have power, my radio's working. Hey, I know I have power, all my lights are working. Well, guys, you have power. But is that enough to turn over this giant 6.2 liter motor? Is that enough to actually crank over a standard V6 motor? No, you need 12 volts to make all that stuff function. So that leads me to two options. Either my battery is dead itself, it needs to be replaced, or maybe it just needs to be charged because a light was left on or a radio is left on, or maybe the alternator is not working. Now, just from having driven the vehicle yesterday, I know the alternator is working just fine, and I did not leave any lights on, so I know my battery's bad. But another way to make sure that it's a battery related issue is to actually turn the motor over and see what happens to your voltage. See, now I'm up to 10 sitting here. There's 10 volts in here, but I need 12. Let's see what happens when I crank the motor. Let's see what my voltage reads then. All right, guys, as you can see here, we're back in the cab of the truck, and I just went ahead and I took my multimeter and I just strung it through and set up on the windshield washer excuse me, windshield wiper. My leads were long enough to actually reach the battery. So now this actually gives me the ability to turn the motor over and see what the battery is going to say, as opposed to needing a second person. So let's go ahead and put our key in our ignition, and let's see, we're sitting at 8.8, around 9 right now. Let's go ahead and see what happens when we go to start it. She drops all the way down to 8, back up to 9, nothing. Down to 8, back up to 9. All right, so my battery is shot, guys. So that's just something we're gonna have to deal with, guys. The cold kills the battery, and like I said, we're 3 weeks past the first day of spring. So this has been a long, drawn-out, cold winter, and that's gonna kill your battery. Age is gonna kill your battery. It's just part of life, and that's just something you're gonna have to deal with. All right, guys, and there you go. In a couple of minutes, we were able to test our battery and figure out that's what's giving us our issues. Even though we had full power inside the truck, there wasn't enough power in the battery to actually get the truck to start. Now, I know that if I was able to start the truck, it would be able to run off the alternator, but that's not going to prevent me from having issues later because the battery is bad, guys. I got to replace that. So we're hooked up on the F-150 because the next thing for me today is a field trip to my local auto parts store to get myself a new battery. And guys, I highly recommend picking up a multimeter, picking up an ohms meter, whatever you want to call it, at your local Harbor Freight. They're like 20 bucks, guys. No reason you can't have one of those in your toolbox. Hope you guys like this video. Please like, subscribe. Any comments or questions, drop those below. And as always, guys, take a minute out of your own day to do some maintenance. We'll catch you next time. New battery, 160 bucks. Let's see. She's alive. She's alive.